Good day to you all. Welcome to Talking Safety, where we discuss all things concerning safety. With us today, we have the honor of hosting Madame Allen Catherine Kagina, who is a seasoned executive who has led different national organizations. In the past, she was the executive director of Uganda National Roads Authority, and previously before that, she was the Commissioner General of Uganda Revenue Authority. Currently, she's the chairperson of the Technical and Vocational Education Training Council, as well as a board member of the Uganda Vocational and Technical Assessment Board and the Uganda Health Professional Assessment Board. That's quite a mouthful. Welcome, Madam Allen. Say hello to our viewers.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone out there. I hope you're all keeping safe. Yeah, let's get into this.
Thank you. Madam Allen, you have had quite an illustrious career, as we have just mentioned. You have led UNRA, you have led URA. What drew you to take on this role of the Uganda's Vision Zero ambassador at this stage in your career? I didn't know you for safety, so it's an opportunity to just give us some background on how you came to this.
Yeah, safety is actually part of a daily responsibility of every leader. So, as I had the privilege of working in several institutions, by the nature of the operations of those institutions, whether it was tax or the roads authority and the current work that I'm doing, you encounter safety as part of the work that you do daily. So we did put in measures to ensure that people in our workplaces were safe. However, I didn't realize until now, when I was requested to become a Vision Zero ambassador by the Ministry of Gender for a space of 2 years, that it became, the statistics hit me, that I saw the numbers, that I saw the effects of unsafe workspaces on productivity, on families, on just generally the national culture of safety. So yes, so it's not like it was a new thing. We did that daily, but now stepping outside and realizing that we all could do better. And that's why I gladly accepted to champion safety as a Vision Zero ambassador.
Thank you. You mentioned statistics there that shocked you. Could you care to mention some statistics or some incident statistics that really shocked you and got you concerned?
Okay. The ones that I'm more familiar with are the road crashes and road fatalities.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the area that has the most accurate data, because both the police and the Ministry of Works work very closely to log every incident, and so there's a database and you can get data there. What is not clearly reported, incidents in the workplace. But as I worked in UNRA, it was a requirement for every project that you had a safety person, and they were required to file reports, and grave incidents would then be escalated to management levels for management. So road safety, I can say the figures that continue to really very unfortunate, but that are shocking. 3,000 deaths. 3,000 deaths. That's about, well, to say 3,000 families affected. Perhaps less families, maybe 2,000 families, because sometimes you'd lose an entire family. Recently, remember, we lost an entire family, father, mother, and kids.
Yes.
Figure is unsustainable. It's not unsustainable, it's unacceptable. And we should not be comfortable to keep reporting on. Yeah, so for me, the road crashes is where I've got the most glaring statistics. But we need now to make sure that we have a national database that is looking at all workspaces.
That's going to be a mighty challenge because most workplaces are not excited reporting the incident statistics. Okay.
Correct.
You have mentioned Vision Zero quite a few times thus far. The majority of the viewers of this podcast are safety professionals, business leaders, and students, and people who are interested in workplace safety. Could you attempt to unpack what is this thing called Vision Zero? Just try and dig into it a bit so that when the listener hears Vision Zero, they can quickly connect with the word.
Sure. So Vision Zero is a prevention strategy. The strategy's goal is that all workspace or workplace accidents can be prevented. The fatalities, the serious injuries, the occupational diseases. are all preventable. And so the purpose is to bring awareness and change mindsets to put in place systems that work, whose vision is to have zero harm in the workplace. When people come from home to go to work, it should be fairly predictable that they will go back home in the evening without without a lost arm or limping or something, inability to breathe because they were breathing fumes the whole day. So it's a strategy to make everybody focus on ensuring that their workplaces are safe. And I can just take you a little more on that because it's this strategy. I want people to understand that it's not just a wishful thinking. It's been designed around 7 pillars. The principal one being visible leadership, that safety is not delegatable to some small E&S office in the back of the organization, but it is front and center for leadership. Number 2, that hazards must be identified, not assumed. Hazards, actually, there should be log of the hazards in the workplace. And
like
then leaders must have, exactly. And then leaders must define targets to reduce. If you've had, say, 30 incidents in a month, target that the next month you will reduce that by 50%, then the next month by 75%. Then have a target that by 6 months you should have 0 hazards being reported or 0 incidents being reported. And then make sure that they actually are systems. That's pillar number 4. There are systems in place, not taking things for granted that things will work themselves organically. No, they will not. Safety systems instituted and known to all employees, and ensure that the equipment, this is number 5, that the equipment that we use in the workplaces, the tools that we use in the workplaces are safe. How many offices do you enter and find that the wiring is not in trunks? It's wires are running all over the place. Or you have cleaners cleaning you have cleaners cleaning workspaces, maybe corridors at the same time during working hours, and they've splashed water all over the place. You're going to get falls, all sorts of things. And then number 6 is to make sure that the people who are appointed to manage 0 incidents are qualified. They're qualified professionals for environmental, social, and health and safety qualifications, but also that the people you use, let's say the machine operators, are properly qualified, because a number of these, when they're going through the training, safety is part of it. Sometimes employers cut corners and we want the cheapest labor, people that are not properly trained, and then invest in your workers to own safety. Don't let it be something you preach from the top. Let it be on everybody's lips. So those are the 7 pillars on which Vision Zero stands.
Well, it seems to me that Vision Zero challenges the belief that injuries and fatalities are preventable. But we have seen in Uganda, people tend to say, oh, it was meant to happen. Oh, sorry. Why do you think this mindset shift is very important for Uganda right now?
Because it is affecting productivity. If we don't change this mindset, we will push a lot of money into improving productivity of industry, of public service, of every private sector, and perhaps not get the maximum we have because we've not paid attention to safety. There is a direct link between the safety of workers and the final output. On projects where we worked, where machines were not properly fitted, people were not trained into safety, we had incidents, losing a hand or getting knocked down by a careless plant operator. Those are all really preventable. So getting everybody to say accidents don't need to happen, it is a total national mindset. The phrase we Ugandans like, and I guess it's used elsewhere, is it was an accident. Like that is okay. It is not. It is not normal and should never be accepted that because it was an accident, there are no consequences. There's a family going to be without a father or mother or the child because of the careless employer who did not put systems in place. Yeah, so mindset change, extremely important.
Yeah, I can just imagine the potential that the country loses when we lose young people, politicians. We have had prominent business leaders lose their lives in road accidents that were preventable. I just imagine how many people they would have employed, the industries and businesses they would have run if they didn't lose their lives. So indeed, the economy has significant losses, even beyond what the families lose. So I can agree with you that we need
Correct.
to change. We need to change. Now,
Mm.
is this only to do with road safety? Does this Vision Zero philosophy that you're preaching apply to every business? Are there some businesses for which this doesn't apply? Could you speak to that so that you give our listeners confidence when they're speaking about Vision Zero as well?
I actually think the road sector has done better than all other sectors because
Okay.
that's where we get the better statistics. And every year, the Ministry of Works champions road safety. Towards December, there's this 1 week of safety. I don't know if I've heard any other sector actually have similar focus like on road safety like the Ministry of Works does. So it would necessarily mean that we turn now the spotlight to the other areas. Let's look at the electricity area. We all get these workers in distribution who come to our houses to do connections. When they're going up the pillars, you don't see harnesses or even protective gear. Sometimes you've seen these accidents where somebody's been electrocuted. An electricity worker has been electrocuted because he was not protected. Things we've taken for granted. So perhaps they have strategies there, but they need now to make them public strategies so that if you're coming to an electricity pole outside my house, I should be able to make a call to your call center and say, hang on, you've sent me somebody, but he's not safe. He's not protected. He's going up that, and I don't see a harness. I don't see a PPE. I don't see all these things that should show that this worker you've sent to me is safe. I don't want him hanging electrocuted over over my gate. So that's the sort of message we want to go out that the public begins to own. Do this for projects in other areas, in water, in people who are on the water, in our offices, in steel industries where you're handling hot metal. I've been in some of them and I tend to think, oh, these people are so brave, they don't fear this. They should fear harm. I think they should fear and therefore protect themselves. So, Ronald, the simple message from me is that every single place you have a worker must be made safe.
Thank you. Could you just tell us this Vision Zero, when was it brought into the country, or when was it launched in the country? And since then, what progress have you seen so far?
So Vision Zero is a global movement. It's a global campaign. So it's not just here in Uganda.
Okay.
Last year in August of 2025, Uganda hosted the third International Vision Zero Africa conference. So you can see, and you can see that it's hosted every 2 years. So we were the third host in Africa. So it's not new. The last one I think was in Zambia, but it's been held in other countries as well. The Vision Zero the Vision Zero strategy was first formulated by the International Social Security Association at international level. You know, our NSSF. So at international level, the association that brings in all the employee benefits funds began to say beyond saving for the workers in different countries, we must make sure that those workers are safe. So they came up with this Vision Zero strategy and have moved from country to country. It's a very strong campaign, actually. And so it's a privilege for us as Uganda to be able to say in these next 2 years, we will be focusing on how to make Uganda a hub for benchmarking. Actually, would like people to come and see how we are making our spaces safe. I know that in the oil industry, because you work with development partners, you work with international business, and financials would not put money behind places which are not safe. So in a sense, the oil and gas industry is doing very well. They're doing very well, and we look at the standards. Actually, some of the standards we used in National Roads Authority were standards that we picked from the oil and gas sector, because you aim for the highest environmental and social protections. And that's what we want everybody to aim for, the highest in Uganda, so that other countries who are coming into this area and after us begin to say, okay, it's been done very well here. Let's go and see what the countries are doing. Right now, Zambia, I'm told, is doing very well. So I want to see what is Zambia doing that Uganda is not doing in keeping their workers safe.
If I may ask, you mentioned ISSA, and you said it's an association that brings together social security funds. Might you be aware if our NSSF is a member?
Yes, our NSSF is actually a very strong member and was a major sponsor for the conference last year, the international conference. They
Okay.
do champion. We work in our advocacy. We work closely with NSSF. So yes, they are the front runners
Excellent.
in keeping
Excellent.
people safe in Vision Zero.
Okay. So, against this background, what responsibility do business leaders and CEOs carry when it comes to protecting workers and the general public who may be impacted by their operations?
Business leaders have the biggest responsibilities. First of all, business leaders must treat safety as a core performance indicator. You know what gets measured gets done. If you don't measure something, it doesn't get done. So prepare safety standards for all your employees. It has got to be seen as a performance indicator at individual employee level, but also at as institutional level. So make it a performance indicator and get it reported as well. Don't make it a performance indicator and then there are no reports being published. 2, assess your work environment and put in place safety measures. I've visited offices where you actually don't see a fire extinguisher. You do not see an alternative exit. You do not see smoke detectors. You see I visited a facility which I will not name. It was a health facility this week, and it had a ramp, a long ramp moving from one floor to the next. And this cleaner had poured soap and water over the entire ramp. And I was trying to get out, but I couldn't get out because the whole place was wet. And I thought, where are the
Wow.
standards here? So I looked for a back route to get out of the building, not because there was anything happening, but I just needed to go home. But I'd been held captive by a worker who'd just poured water and with soap all over the floor. So invest in alternative routes in case you need to get out, and make sure that there's training. We do a lot of training for our workers. We train in human
Customer
resource
care,
management. We
quality.
we have good training programs. You open any of those training programs and show me the place where safety is in that list, if it is there at all. So invest in training, and beyond training, invest in supervision, so that we don't say we train people and we have nobody supervising this area. The one which I find is the most effective strategy for any employer or business is involve the workers. Let it be the business of the workers to inform management that you've deployed me to work in this area, but it's not safe for me. Let the demand come from those who are most affected. I think those are some of the things that we need to put before employers and business leaders to make our places safe.
Allen, you mentioned something there that tickled me a bit. You said business leaders should treat safety as a core performance indicator. You have been a business leader for multiple decades. Could you just speak to the reason why most of them don't do this?
First of all, I think it's a cultural thing in our country where we don't tie a direct link. We don't have a direct link, a visible direct link between productivity and safety. So because we've not even mentally made that link, we don't put money behind it. And therefore, in the priorities for production or for performance, we put it at the back of beyond. Because after all, everybody else thinks, it's one of those things and people should keep themselves safe. It's not my job. However, in certain areas, in certain sectors, that attitude is slowly changing, especially, unfortunately, where we had development funded projects. I tell you some of the World Bank funded projects. You have this very high standard you must meet. They must see the structures, they must see the people who are employed in the safety area. during the assessment phase, they might see how it is going to be reported. And then during the process of implementation of a project, there are safety audits. We do not need that to be a foreign imposed standard. These are our people, these are Ugandans. Why is it the responsibility of World Bank to take care of Ugandans? Why is it my responsibility? This is my fellow citizen. So we ourselves at the helm of organizations must undergo through a mindset change so that it is now inculcated in our daily business and hold us accountable. Hold me, Allen Kagina, head of whatever institution I've, I've had the privilege to lead, hold me accountable and say, in this one year, you have had 10 incidents, and as a performance indicator, you're expected to reduce it to 0 by the end of next year so that they're none. That's a performance indicator, and I'm going to make sure it works because now I know I'm going to be measured. Yeah, that's how it works.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sticking with the business leaders, could you speak to us about what will distinguish organizations that truly prioritize safety as opposed to organizations that are attempting to comply with funder requirements or legal requirements? What will distinguish those two organizations?
Okay, what distinguishes between safety leadership and compliance leadership is how it is designed within, say, our annual plans, how we design versus how we rely on individual compliance. In a compliance culture, people give you what you ask for. If you ask for these standards, they will give you those standards. If you don't ask for them, you may not get them. But in a culture where people own safety, they look for what is the best possible strategy I am going to put in place so that there is no incident. So one is coming from the top, which is the design in compliance systems. The other comes from compliance, where people only obey because you have demanded. So that's the difference. And what is important is that we're shifting from compliance to ownership, compliance to safety to ownership of safety. And that's the message of Vision Zero. We don't just want compliance, we want ownership of safety for all our workers.
Thank you. Let's shift a bit and talk about systems and incident prevention. So, as you may be aware, I'm a health and safety professional, and through my career, I've had to handle very many incidents. Normally, when incidents occur, the logical, quick to identify and blame cause is the individual. Yeah, that driver was driving so fast. The painter was using the ladder wrongly. So, from your experience, how important is it to design strong systems rather than relying on individual compliance alone? And do you think the root cause is the individual that day, or is there some other deep reason why accidents occur in the workplace? Please speak to that.
I think it is a combination of the two, but I'd not put the individual responsibility topmost, because when you're paying for my service, if I come to work in your industry, I'm giving you my service. And it's not good enough to say I am paying you a salary, therefore everything else is your responsibility. It is actually your responsibility to design systems that keep me safe, because your profit comes from my labor. So systems must be designed ahead of asking people to be personally responsible. If you have systems in place and I ignore them, then I'm responsible. But if you have no systems in place, you cannot absolve yourself from responsibility should anything go wrong. So I think, first of all, institutions, workplaces, design the systems, enforce them to get compliance, take them a step further, train people to own them, and then hold me accountable. I'm not diminishing in any way the importance of personal responsibility, because after all, when you go back home, it is your responsibility to remain alive, either in office or when you go back home. So, but that doesn't come uppermost. I think uppermost is business owners designing safety systems and enforcing them, and then making sure we all own them.
Thank you. I think out of your submission, one quote that will be ringing in my head for a long time is your profit comes from my labor. I think that summarizes the moral reason for safety. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yes. In your current role, you're chairperson of the Technical and Vocational Education Training Council. You're pretty much in the thick of things as far as technical education is concerned. How do you see safety being integrated in education generally? Because personally, I got properly introduced to safety through a course I did after my bachelor's degree. So before that, I think safety throughout my career. So how do you see us integrating safety into the education system so that we don't discover it later in life, but it is a part of life?
Okay, so I think the technical and vocational education track, more than the general track, which is the primary, secondary, and the tertiary education system, the technical track is the one where safety must be preached the most. Why do I say this? Because in the general education system, there isn't as much involvement of the learner with equipment, with learning with their hands or with the rest of their bodies or learning skills as much as there is on this side. So in TVET,
Okay.
we have a number of workshops. For example, if you go to most of these technical institutions, you find workshops, even skills development centers, the lower end of them. There's equipment they're using, there is machines, there are all sorts of gadgets they're using. So safety must be part of the training. Every trainer must be trained in safety so that during the process of demonstrations, they are not just demonstrating competencies of running a machine, but they're also demonstrating how to keep yourself and the learner safe. There are chemicals. We use a lot of chemicals, some of them quite hazardous chemicals. And so the use of the training in how to handle chemicals, the provision of safety equipment during training is really, really critical. And the protective gears that we must distribute. Safety is central to the success of TVET during training, and also when you then remove the learners from the learning environment and put them, for example, into industrial training and attachments, that is part and parcel. And it should also be assessed. Currently, I don't know if we're assessing it, but if it's not, then we're going to make sure that it becomes part of what is assessed.
Okay.
Mm.
I look forward to getting that answer, whether or not it's currently part of the curriculum and if it is assessed. Okay, what opportunities exist for collaboration between technical and vocational institutions, industry, and government to build a prevention-focused workforce or a safety-focused workforce?
There are so many opportunities. So as we champion this Vision Zero, what we're trying to do is get a standard that all employers adopt, and then of course to benchmark on those who have gone ahead and done and are well advanced in keeping people safe and designing systems and having machines fitted for safety. So the advocacy, which is part of my current job as Vision Zero ambassador, is to make linkages across all industry, but also use this platform to work closely, say, with associations like Federation of Uganda Employers, which brings many employers together, and that becomes the channel through which we preach the message of change. The opportunities are immense. Almost literally any event taking place, any training taking place, any ceremony taking place, there is opportunity to talk about safety. So for me, my job is cut out. Together with the Ministry of Gender, we can position ourselves literally anywhere and bring a safety message. I like your areas, your sector, oil and gas, because all meetings begin with a safety moment. I've not
Correct.
attended a meeting in that area where there's not a safety moment at the very beginning. That's powerful. What we must
Yes,
make
it
sure
is.
then that it's taken out and become a culture that every staff comes to office knowing or goes to a site saying safety first, safety first, safety first.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's talk about the future. As the ambassador for Vision Zero, what are your top priorities over the remaining tenure of your term? I imagine your term is 2 years. Is it 1 year? What are the
It's 2
priorities
years.
looking
It's 2
forward?
years. So let me begin with the ultimate result I'm looking for, which is a mindset change. Now, mindset change, especially one which is entrenched, takes not just a year, not just 2 years. That my term of office is 2 years, and I've already done since August. We've done that's 4 plus 2, so we've done 6 months. Whatever is remaining of it is to begin to put in place infrastructure, which is basically is communication and interactions to drive a mindset change. If I can begin to see employers shifting the way they change their budgets, they apply their budgets and have a component on safety, I think I would have done my job. If I begin to see that it's no longer just talk or good to have, that it is front and center when we are making our annual plans, that is a priority. But coming back down to the immediate steps that I want to see being put in place is to have a major, as a first point, a major campaign. And we're going to work with some media houses on a campaign strategy for keeping everybody safe. And then together with the Ministry of Gender, escalate the safety strategy, the national safety strategy to policy levels, to political levels, sorry, not just policy levels, because government has always put these wonderful policies in place. But getting the top leadership of our country, the executive, the parliament, the law makers, the media personalities, all speaking with the same language and talking about safety, then I think that is step number 2 that we will have made progress. So we will actually be approaching our political leaders so that they can speak with us. And then to get business leaders, because remember, I keep talking about ownership. This being less a ministry of gender responsibility, and with Kagina there as its ambassador, but also beginning to hear demand from the business leaders and from the staff. So working with the workers' representatives, working with workers' unions, having gatherings and workshops. I don't really like workshops, but they're not always, it can't be avoided. But having those where people are gathering and saying, let's talk about this, it helps this thing, to the mindset to start changing. And then inspections. I think we must have inspections. When I was growing up, I knew that the city authorities or the municipal authorities would often visit homes, would visit restaurants to inspect for health. I don't know if they still do the same thing. We now have local leadership. I don't remember when I last saw our local leadership coming to see, no, even just walk outside our in the road reserve to say, how are you keeping your area clean? Why? Because some of us leave bushes there and snakes bite people. Inspections done will raise awareness that we are changing. So those are really some of the things that we'll be doing in the next few months.
As you were answering this question, a thought came to my mind. We have the World Day for Safety and Health at Work coming up in about 2 months. I think that is April, I think April 28th. Is the Vision Zero team planning something? Because I know you mentioned that mindset change is a big thing, and mindset change comes with awareness. Awareness requires massive communication at every opportunity available. Are you considering anything to benefit from the World Day for Safety or the Week for Safety at the end of April?
Yes, for sure. We're targeting participation and looking for visible space, not just in the keynote speeches, but also making sure that we can get partnerships with those who will be participating at global level, at local level. So yes, so we're in the kitchen cooking our participation. That conference is really the point where Vision Zero must be exposed to everybody. So yes, I'm aware of that and we're planning towards it.
Thank you. Let's talk challenges. What barriers might slow down the adoption of the Vision Zero philosophy and the 5 golden rules in Uganda?
Well, the barriers we're of course already encountering, which is where we're designing our strategies, is the mindset. We must stop people thinking that accidents are normal. The second one is budgeting, of employers budgeting for it, so that we can see that there's real money. You know how serious an institution is when you look at its budget. So making sure that national budgets, government budgets actually have a component. I know now that many budgets are not passed in Parliament unless they have clearance from the Equal Opportunities Commission. You know, the Equal Opportunities Commission is a good platform for ensuring that there's equal opportunities for all people in the genders, in the disadvantaged people. Now, I would like a similar one for safety, that before Parliament passes a budget, they want to see that the organization asking for passing of that budget has designed safety in its work program. That is something that for me will show seriousness towards this. The other barrier, which I think is something that is easy to handle, is that we have not inculcated safety in our education system right from childhood. We teach English, we teach maths, we teach sciences, we teach all sorts of things, but we're not focusing. There's very little mention in our curriculum safety. So redesigning not just the technical curriculum, but also the basic secondary and tertiary education curricula to incorporate safety as a key subject and assessed. It's got to be assessed for it to have value. So those are some of the areas that I think will remove the current barriers.
Okay, thank you. Let me pick one of those barriers. You talked about organizations planning and budgeting for safety. And you said if an organization is willing to put part of their money behind safety improvements, then they are serious. Why, though, do you think it's not currently the case? Why aren't organizations planning for and budgeting seriously for safety beyond helmets and reflectors, equipment and different things? Why aren't organizations prioritizing?
I can't speak for all organizations, but I can tell you that for the places I have worked, and I'm assuming this should be common to others, we have not clearly understood how lack of safety affects our bottom line. If we did that, then we'd budget better. We prioritize. Most institutions I know, especially if they're government institutions, their budgets are never enough. So they are forced, therefore, to look at what are the top priorities where I'm going to put my money. And they're going to look at buying equipment, recruiting the best brains, designing systems, removing manual processes. So all the things that we love to do to increase our production. Without a clear understanding that you can do all that, and the workers you will always have to need people. If they don't feel safe, they will not give you their best output. Or if they come to office and they're ready to work and they're excited, but an accident does happen, a fire breaks out, or somebody trips and falls, or somebody is electrocuted or is burnt by a chemical, you don't understand that all that money that you put in has gone to waste because a worker has not been able to complete their schedule that day. Let me give you a simple example. At a quarry, you're operating these huge crushers, and sometimes in the process of the machine crushing, the big rocks get stuck in a channel, and then somebody has to try and unclog the system. And I've seen people go in and try and unclog the system. There's one unfortunate person who didn't realize that the safety, there's a safety lever that you pull, had not been done. And he went in thinking it had been done and he could go and unclog the system, and he turned on the machine and he lost his arm. And we had to run around looking for ambulances, taking him to hospital. So honestly, making sure that every machine is safe. You cannot overestimate how we must make our workplaces safe. And so, yeah, I think those are some of the things we should be looking at and saying it's not just enough to buy good machine. The person operating that machine must know how to operate it and must also be safe.
Thank you. Thank you. As we come to the end of this podcast, could you speak to that employee, that safety professional, that business leader, if there's one or two things that they can, practical things that they can do this week or today to advance the philosophy of Vision Zero at their workplaces, what would that be?
The one thing I'd like to inform all business leaders, irrespective of your industry, is that you employ human beings and they need to go back home safe. So make your workspace safe. Accidents are preventable. We don't need to spend millions treating people when we could have prevented them from being hurt in our workspaces. So my call to everybody is we can reduce the current level of accidents in our workspaces to zero. It is very possible. It is a commitment from everybody. Ownership by those who do the work and budgets towards keeping all our places safe.
Thank you. We have come to the end of this podcast. It has been an honor to host you, Madam Allen Kagina. I've learned a lot from you. It's my first time
Thank you.
speaking to you, and it is on a podcast. Thank you so much, and we'll end here.
It's been a pleasure.